Welcome, guys. So this was supposed to be a tech profile today, but some recent discourse in the My Hero Discord sparked up this conversation. Now, if you're not fully caught up with the tea, it's about one card in particular, that card being, of course, repeated 100% Smash. Particularly, its price point. Whoa! Yeah, that's a lot. It's a little much. It's a little, that's kind of expensive. Just a little bit, just a little. It's just a little it's a little expensive. Especially because there's 4 listings. So have fun, good luck. So a lot of people were saying like, hey, I don't think it's very cool that I have to pay $80 for a single card. And to that, I agree. What I don't agree with are the people going, we shouldn't print SRs. SRs are bad for the game. They're too expensive. Power shouldn't scale with rarity. Now that I do not agree with. See, the problem with repeated 100% Smash isn't that it's an SR. Obviously, like, that is contributing to the price. The fact that SRs are 1 per box and there's now 6 of them, which means every 1 in 6 boxes is going to be the SR you want. Obviously, that is contributing to the price, but it's not the main factor. You see, cards like this aren't expensive just because they're rare. They're expensive because they're good. See, the problem with repeated isn't that it's too powerful, right? Good cards can be SRs and be affordable. The problem is that it's generically powerful. To the point where if you're playing a deck that's on the life, void, or good symbols, if you're not playing repeated, you're kind of just a clown. And because it is now a card that can be played in any of those decks, anyone playing those decks now wants 4 of it. Hence, a larger majority of the player base wants this hard to find card. The problem is not SRs. We've had affordable look at Dropkick Slicer, right? This thing's $5. The problem isn't SRs, okay? The problem is generically powerful cards printed in these high rarity slots. When it's a card that everybody wants, of course, more copies are gonna need to be bought, but with a limited supply of SRs, the supply and demand don't add up. The math ain't mathin'. And that's how we get $80 cards, is when we print generically powerful staples that everyone wants and practically needs. So now they're forced to go hunt down these super elusive cards and buy them up at 4 copies each if you want to be able to play semi-competitively. That's how we get these super powerful cards, right? So the whole thesis for this video is that SRs aren't the problem. The problem isn't printing elusive, hard to find cards. It's printing generically powerful cards at those high rarities, making cards everybody almost needs hard to find. That's how we get $80 repeateds and stay away from $5 Dropkick Slicers. Obviously, there being 6 SRs too helps bring that price up, but point stands. So you're probably wondering, what's the solution? How do we fix this? And a lot of people are going oh, delete SRs. Don't make SRs. Or reprint repeated as a promo. No! If we just start reprinting expensive cards, that's how we become Yu-Gi-Oh! And collections start losing their value and people don't want to pick up product now because they know that it's just going to get reprinted in the future and they don't want to invest. That's a bad idea. It doesn't help the game. That is not how we get people to want to buy our cards. To be honest, right now, there is no fixing repeated Smash. What's done is done, but what we can do is fix things in the future and make sure repeated Smash never happens again. Sure, maybe a repeated reprint in the future would be good. A banning would also be good, but the card just came out, so they can't ban it. So eventually, banning repeated is probably good. Just don't power creep it. Please do not try to power creep it out of the format. That would suck. So how do we fix this going forward? How do we make sure repeated doesn't happen again? Well, that's where my rarity to power ratio comes in. Obviously, the way to sell trading cards is by making it so that the rarer they get, the stronger they are. So that the best cards are hard to find. People are incentivized to chase down these cards because they're strong, right? But if you make those cards too good and too rare, we get stuff like repeated, where it's $80 a copy, right? That's bad. So how do we remedy this? Well, the answer is with the type of power we're giving these cards, right? My solution is this. Going forward, the rare slot is meant for cards that are generically powerful and splashable and very, very techy. I know, 2 opposite ends of the spectrum, but a good example of a rare that I really like is stuff like Back Alley Haymaker and 1.3 million volts. These are rares that are on the higher end, with Haymaker being $4 and 1.3 being $8. But this is a good example of generically powerful cards, right? These are cards that can get slotted into any deck under their symbols. One of them is just super good statted. The other one just kills people, right? These are great at rare because they're common enough where their value is only like, they still have value, but that value is like $4 to $8, which for a rare is really good. That incentivizes buying boxes. It's still fairly affordable for the consumer. A playset, it's like $16 to $24 for a playset. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. It's not $320. But like, this is a fine example of generically powerful cards. Another good example for the rare slot is like techie cards, very specific like sideboard pieces. That's another great spot for rares to be. Now URs, they shouldn't be quite as generic as rares. That's how we get stuff like Vial Seizing, which is like $30, which is like, and I think there's like I think Rejuvenating Smash is getting up there too. Like, URs also should not be generic. What URs should be game plans. URs should be stuff like Funny Punch, like Tetsu Thrashing, like Sonambulism, or whatever it's called. Cards that a deck's game plan is themed around. That's what a UR should be. It should be the capstone of a deck. But like that, it's the capstone of a deck, right? If you're not building the Funny Punch deck, you don't need Funny Punch. You only need Funny Punch if you're building the Funny Punch deck. This helps keep URs generic but still niche, where now players get to like start with the UR and then build their deck around that, instead of having a deck where it's like a pile of URs, right? That's where they get expensive. When we get these generic URs, they can put anything. Everyone under these symbols needs this UR. All of a sudden, it's $30, right? URs should be only for the people that need them. I shouldn't need to be able to, I'm on death, I gotta get 4 Vial Seizings. Shucks, right? It should be like, no, I want to do the Vial Seizing plan, so I'm gonna get Vial Seizing and then the cards that support it. Personally, that's how I think URs should work. And now, SRs. I'm okay with the SRs, 1 per box, and there's 6 different ones. That's okay. Every card game does that. Like Magic with Mythics, Vanguard with the VRs, like Yu-Gi-Oh! Has like secret rares. Like games do this. It's fine. It's like, it's okay. Like the only thing you want to avoid is Yu-Gi-Oh! Where it's like you have 6 SRs, half of them are pennies, and the other half are like $70. That's where things get bad. So my way to remedy the SR problem is by making SRs incredibly niche, where rares are designed to support any deck under their symbols. URs are meant to design a specific game plan that's meant to be built around. SRs should be designed for specific characters, right? My thing is SRs should be designed to support a specific character's playstyle. And if you are not playing that specific character, you don't need the SR. Can you play the SR in other decks? Of course you can, but you don't like need, it's not like Repeated where I'm playing Void, gotta play Repeated, right? Like, you're just kind of a bozo for not doing it, which sucks. So by having SRs be specifically niche, it means that only a small majority of the player base actually needs them. So now it's this point of like, well, I'm not playing that character, don't need the SR. I can just like, if I want to collect it because it's shiny and rare, then I can, but I'm not forced to buy. I'm not forced to drop like $100 on a playset of this card just to play my deck. The counter argument to this, of course, being like, what if I play that character? Oh, shoot, now I need an SR just because I play this character? That's not fair. Well, lucky for you, only a handful of people play that character. Unless that character is the next like broken meta character, chances are the whole player base isn't on that character. Especially in a game like UVS where people play pet decks all the time. So like, you're gonna get stuff like Dropkick Slicer where like, yeah, it's an SR. It's like $5 or $8. Because not every gut buddy in the game needs it to compete. Only that character does. The only way this gets bad is when it's attached to a character that is like, by all means, the best character in the format. Now we get expensive cards, and that sucks. So that's my rarity solution thesis. Take it as you will. If you like it, cool. If you don't, that sucks for you. Another way to like remedy the repeated problem is if we had legitimate budget options. If they printed a card that was just repeated Smash but worse, that would take a lot of the price off. Because the problem with repeated now, there's no budget option for repeated. There's no supplementary piece. Like, there's no way to play repeated but worse. There's just repeated. So it's either you spend that $80 or you're just out of luck and your deck doesn't really work anymore. So if we had like a legitimate repeated budget option, that would help take some of the price down, because now budget players aren't forced to buy the super expensive card. Only the top of competition feels the need to do that. Don't get me wrong, like expensive cards are good for the game. Like, it's like, It helps, of course, it helps drive product. It incentivizes people to open boxes. It helps keep LGSs in business. So that's always an option, is if we do end up printing a card like repeated, that's like, oh shoot, we accidentally made a super generically powerful SR that every deck under these symbols is going to want to play. Now it's super expensive. In the next set, print a rare. Print a rare that's the same card but worse, man. That's the thing. We don't have a card that fulfills the same role as repeated. So until we get that card's going to just be chilling at 80 bucks. Sorry. But yeah, that's the TLDR for this video. Just like, things can scale with rarity. That's totally fine. That's how we push value and make things worth opening. Just don't make it so that everyone requires 4 copies of the super rare card. Make it so that only a niche player base requires the 4 copies to play the game, and the rest can like pick it up if they want it, or collectors are still incentivized to chase it. Like, things can still have a price tag, just not one that's $80. And not every UR has to be a game plan in and of itself. We can have generic URs. Good example being the Samajiki one, whose name I'm just forgetting at the moment. This card's great because, like, yeah, it has a price tag on it. It's kind of expensive, but we only need like 2. You only need 1 or 2. That's it. You don't need more than 2 of this thing. That's a really good way to make cards have value and have really good resale value, but not hurt the player for needing them. Because it's like, this card's kind of expensive. It's like, yeah, we only need 2. So it's like, it's $10. Oh, this card's $10. Well, you only need 2. It's 20 bucks. You wouldn't complain about buying a playset of a $5 card. So don't complain about buying 2 of a $10 one, right? Like, I think that is such a nice solution. Is like, make these cards that are more like, you don't need 4 of it, that aren't 4 of requirements. So yeah, there's my hot take on the UVS rarity problem. Like it or don't, I don't really care. It's content. If you do like what I say, be sure to subscribe. I'll be sure to post more card game hot takes. I love talking card design. It's very fun, even though I technically don't know what I'm doing, but I have opinions and I like sharing them, so you can choose to like it or not. But if you do like my stupid opinions, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. If you disagree, be sure to let me know in the comments down below so I can fight you. And yeah, subscribe for when I post more super awesome epic hot takes. Bye, guys.